I was getting my husband ready for our 25th anniversary party when I found the key he had hidden for half our marriage. It was tucked inside a secret pocket in his old black suit, the one he suddenly wanted thrown away before guests arrived. "Do not even donate it, Naomi," Nathan called from the bathroom while he shaved. "That thing has had its last good day. Toss it." I laughed at first. My husband had always been sentimental about the strangest things. He kept cracked coffee mugs from church picnics, old programs from our children's school plays, and a broken watch his father wore to work for 30 years. So hearing him sound almost impatient about that suit made me look at it twice. The lapels were shiny. One cuff had been repaired after our daughter Aliyah's wedding. The lining had a small tear near the shoulder. But that suit had been with us through anniversary dinners, award banquets, funerals, graduations, and the night Nathan received the promotion that changed our financial life. It deserved better than the trash. Still, if he wanted it gone, I was not going to start our anniversary morning with an argument over wool. I carried it downstairs to the laundry room, where donation bags were already lined up near the back door. Then habit took over. I checked the pockets. I checked every pocket before washing, donating, storing, or packing anything. Nathan teased me about it for years. "My wife could inspect a coat better than airport security," he used to say. That morning, I found nothing in the side pockets, nothing in the breast pocket, nothing but lint and one old receipt in the pants. Then I felt the small hidden pocket sewn into the inside lining near the waist. Most people would have missed it. My fingers brushed metal. I pulled out a tarnished brass key tied to a paper tag with brown string. The tag was soft with age, the edges worn almost smooth. Nathan's handwriting leaned across it in dark blue ink, the way his hand used to write before arthritis made his letters tighter. 1427 Willow Creek Lane, March 17, 2001. No name, no label, no explanation, just an address, a date, and a key my husband had carried inside a suit he now wanted destroyed. The laundry room suddenly felt too quiet. Upstairs, water shut off. Nathan hummed while he rinsed his razor. It was the same song he had hummed when our son Jordan was a baby and refused to sleep unless someone walked him in circles. That small, familiar sound made the key in my palm feel even stranger. Nathan and I had shared 25 years, 2 children, 3 houses, 1 terrifying surgery, more bills than I could count. We knew each other's bank passwords, medicine schedules, favorite coffee, and old griefs. I knew the sound he made when his knee hurt before rain. I knew when he was pretending not to worry. At least I thought I did. I slipped the key into the pocket of my robe. When Nathan came down 10 minutes later, freshly shaved and smelling like cedar aftershave, I held up the paper tag. Not the key. Just the tag. "I found this in the old suit," I said. "Willow Creek Lane. Any idea what that was?" His face changed for less than a second. If I had not been married to him for a quarter century, I would have missed it. His eyes sharpened. His hand paused on the coffee pot. Then he smiled. "Old storage unit," he said. "From years ago. Nothing important?" "Storage unit?" Back when my consulting work first took off, I had boxes everywhere. "I do not remember a storage unit on Willow Creek." He poured coffee too slowly. "You had Aliyah in dance classes and Jordan in asthma treatments back then. We were busy." That part was true. The lie was not. I heard it in the little laugh he added afterward. "Too warm, too fast." "Throw it out with the suit, sweetheart. Today is about us." He kissed my cheek and began talking about the anniversary dinner as if the matter had vanished. Flowers, seating, whether Jordan's flight from Atlanta would land on time, whether Aliyah's twins would behave through the toast. I answered when I was supposed to answer. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. But the key sat in my robe pocket like a second heartbeat. Our anniversary party that night was beautiful. String lights in the garden room, white tablecloths, candles, our pastor blessing the meal, Aliyah crying before she even began her toast, Jordan making everyone laugh by telling the story of Nathan teaching him to parallel park and nearly losing his voice. Nathan looked handsome in his new tuxedo, silver at his temples, shoulders still straight, smile still wide enough to make people believe the room was safer than it was. When he took my hand for our dance, he whispered, 25 years, Naomi. Best decision I ever made. I wanted the words to settle in me. They almost did. Then I felt the shape of the brass key through the lining of my evening bag. After the party, after the last guest left and the grandchildren fell asleep in the den under a blanket, Nathan held me in the kitchen while we stood among empty cake plates and wilting flowers. You are quiet, he said. Tired. Good tired? I rested my cheek against his chest. I think so. His heart beat steady under my ear. That was the cruelty of the moment. Nothing about him felt like a stranger. Nothing about his hands on my back told me he could hide a whole address and a whole date inside a suit for decades. The next morning, Nathan left early for an overnight meeting with old clients. He said he hated going right after our anniversary, but the date had been fixed for months. He kissed me on the porch and told me to rest. I watched his car disappear. Then I went upstairs, changed out of my robe, and took the key from my jewelry box. For almost an hour, I sat at the kitchen table with my coffee cooling beside me, arguing with myself. A good wife would ask. A wise wife would verify. A frightened wife would do nothing and call it trust. By 8:15, I had typed 1427 Willow Creek Lane into my phone. The address was 40 minutes away, not across the state, not another world. 40 minutes from the house where I had raised Nathan's children and celebrated 25 years of marriage. That made it worse. The highway gave way to narrow roads lined with old oaks and split-rail fences. Willow Creek Lane appeared almost hidden between two stone pillars. The road curved through trees wet from overnight rain and ended at a wrought iron gate standing slightly open. Number 1427 sat at the end of a long gravel drive. It was not a storage unit. It was a house. A graceful old Victorian with pale yellow siding, green shutters, a wraparound porch, and a turret catching the morning light. The garden had been weeded. Fresh mulch circled the rose bushes. A porch swing moved gently in the breeze. Someone cared for this place. Recently, I parked near the gate and sat with both hands on the steering wheel. For a moment, I almost drove away. Then I thought of Nathan's pause, the coffee pot suspended in his hand, the too-fast laugh. I got out. The brass key slid into the lock as if it had been used yesterday. The door opened. The foyer smelled like lavender, lemon oil, and old wood. A grandfather clock ticked in the corner. Sunlight fell across polished floors. A small table held mail, but I did not touch it. I had crossed a line already. I knew that. I also knew I was not leaving until I understood why the line existed. The living room held overstuffed chairs, a piano, and fresh daisies in a glass vase. On the mantel were photographs in silver frames. A little boy missing one front tooth, holding a toy truck. The same boy older, sitting at a piano. A woman with soft eyes kneeling beside him at a birthday cake. No Nathan. Not yet. I moved through the kitchen, dishes drying in the rack, coffee in a tin near the stove, milk in the refrigerator with an expiration date from that week. This was not abandoned. Upstairs, one bedroom had model airplanes hanging from the ceiling, though the boy who slept there must have grown up long ago. Another room held quilts folded in a cedar chest. The house felt preserved, but not frozen, like a memory someone kept dusting. Then I found the study. It was smaller than the rest of the rooms, tucked at the back of the second floor. The curtains were half drawn, the desk was polished, and every photograph on the shelves had been turned face down. Every one. Carefully. Deliberately. My skin prickled. I turned over the closest frame. A young couple on a beach. Not Nathan. Another frame. The little boy in a school uniform. Another. An older woman holding him close on a porch. Then I saw the only photograph still facing upward, sitting alone on the desk. Nathan, much younger, maybe 35, hair dark, smile bright, his arm around a woman I had never met. The little boy stood between them, holding the toy truck from the mantel photo and looking up at Nathan like he had hung the moon. I sat down because my legs could not be trusted. On the back of the frame, someone had written March 2001, same month, Same year, same secret. The first thought was the ugliest one. He has another family. Then another thought followed. If that were true, where were his clothes? His razor? His books? His shoes by the bed? I searched again, more carefully this time. I found no sign that Nathan lived there. No suits, no medicine bottles, no reading glasses, no old church bulletins stuffed in drawers the way he kept them at home. Only the house, the boy, the woman, the turned-down photographs, and one picture where my husband looked like he belonged to a story I had never been told. If you are listening right now, tell me where you are from, or what time it is where you are. I always wonder where people are when one small object makes them realize their life has rooms they have never entered. Before I left, I put the photograph back exactly as I found it. Outside, a floorboard creaked behind me. I turned so quickly my purse hit the doorframe. No one was there. Still, the feeling of being watched followed me all the way to my car. The drive home felt longer than 40 minutes. By the time I pulled into our driveway, our own house looked like a stage set. Anniversary flowers on the table, family pictures on the walls, Nathan's new tuxedo receipt near the mail basket, everything familiar and suddenly suspect. I did not confront him when he came home the next evening. Part of me wanted to throw the key on the table and demand the whole truth. Another part of me knew that if I asked too soon, he might give me another small lie, and then I would have to decide whether our marriage could survive the sound of it. So I watched. Nathan unpacked, asked about the grandchildren, kissed my forehead, and told me the client meeting had been dull. He looked tired. Not guilty exactly. Worn. At dinner he asked, "Did you donate that old suit?" "Not yet." His fork paused. "I thought you were taking bags this morning." "I got busy." "With what?" "Errands." He smiled, but the line in his jaw tightened. That night, after he thought I was asleep, I heard him downstairs. Closet doors, drawers, the mudroom cabinet opening and closing. He was looking for the suit. Or the key. The next morning, I drove to the county records office. The clerk was kind and brisk, the sort of woman who had seen enough family mysteries to know when not to ask too many questions. Property records showed that 1427 Willow Creek Lane was owned by the Willow House Trust, established in March 2001. The trustee listed was a law firm I recognized only because Nathan had once mentioned doing consulting work for them years before. The trust disclosures were limited, very limited. I sat in my car afterward with the printed page in my lap. March 2001. That was the year everything changed for us. Nathan's consulting business suddenly grew. He traveled constantly. We moved from a cramped split level into our first real home. He paid off medical bills from Jordan's asthma hospitalizations. I remembered being proud of him, grateful for the doors opening at last. Now I wondered what else had opened. Through a friend from church, I found a retired estate attorney named Preston Vale. He agreed to meet me at a coffee shop at the edge of town. He was nearly 80, with sharp eyes and the patience of a man who did not need to impress anyone anymore. I told him enough to ask careful questions without giving him Nathan's name at first. Preston read the property printout, then sat back. "This is not an ordinary residential trust." "What is it?" "Private. Protective, designed to keep a beneficiary from public exposure." "A beneficiary like a child?" "Possibly, or someone vulnerable." "The taxes?" He tapped one line. "Paid faithfully, often through certified funds. Whoever is behind it wanted the house maintained without attention." "Is that illegal?" "Not by itself." "But strange." "Very." He looked at me over his glasses. "Mrs. Turner, in my experience, houses like this are built for two reasons: to hide something shameful or to protect something fragile. Sometimes both." I thanked him and left with more fear than answers. For the next 2 days, Nathan became careful around me in a way that broke my heart. He asked where I had gone, whether I needed help with errands, whether I had been sleeping. He stood too long in front of our family photos, especially the one from our anniversary party, where Aaliyah and Jordan stood on either side of us, all of us smiling under string lights. One evening, he pulled me into a hug while I was rinsing dishes. "I love this life," he said into my hair. "So do I." He held me tighter. That scared me more than if he had pulled away. 3 days later, while Nathan was gone for another overnight meeting, I drove back to Willow Creek Lane. This time I did not use the key. I knocked. The door opened before my hand dropped. An elderly woman stood there in a lavender cardigan, silver hair pinned at the nape of her neck. Her eyes were tired, but not surprised. "Naomi Turner," she said softly. I swallowed. "You know me." "I have known your name for 25 years. She stepped aside. "Please come in. You must have more questions than any person should have to carry alone." I did not move. "Who are you?" "Lorraine Bell." Her gaze moved to my purse, where the brass key sat. "And no, I was never your husband's mistress." The directness stunned me. She gave a sad little smile. "That is usually the first fear. It is not the truth." I followed her into the living room because I could not stand on that porch pretending I might walk away. Lorraine poured tea neither of us drank. "Nathan and I knew each other when we were young," she said. "Before you. Before his career. Before life taught all of us how expensive promises can be." The boy in the photographs. My grandson, Isaiah. Is he Nathan's son? No. The answer came so quickly that some part of me loosened, then tightened again, because relief is not the same as truth. Lorraine looked toward the mantel. Isaiah was 4 years old when his parents died, my only daughter and her husband. A crash on the old county highway, March 17, 2001. I looked down at my hands. "The date on the key?" "Yes." She told the story carefully. 3 cars, rain, a blind curve, a young man from one of the most powerful families in the county, drunk and speeding, Lorraine's daughter and son-in-law dead at the scene. Isaiah pulled from the back seat by strangers before the engine caught fire. "Nathan was there," she said. "He told me he was in a client meeting that night." He had been. He was driving home when he came upon the wreck. He stayed with Isaiah, covered his eyes, kept talking to him until the ambulance came. My throat tightened. "Why hide the house?" Lorraine's hands trembled around her cup. "Because the young man who caused the crash had a father with judges, officers, and donors in his pocket. Evidence changed, statements disappeared, blame shifted toward people who could no longer defend themselves. Your daughter." She nodded once. "And my son-in-law." I sat back, cold moving through me. What did Nathan do? He saw enough to know the report was false. He also saw enough to know the people involved would not hesitate to silence a child if they believed that child could someday remember too much. Isaiah was 4. 4-year-olds grow. The room seemed to shrink around us. Lorraine stood slowly and went to the writing desk. From a drawer, she removed a sealed envelope, yellowed with age. On the front were words written in a hand I did not know. "For Nathan Turner's wife. Only when she finds this house." "My husband wrote that before he died," Lorraine said. "He believed if you found this place on your own, then Nathan's silence had finally reached its limit." She placed the envelope in my hands. "Nathan has paid the taxes, repairs, and security for this house for 25 years. He helped create the trust with attorneys who believed the original case was corrupt. He checked on Isaiah from a distance. Never as a father, never in secret romance. As a witness, keeping a promise." The envelope felt heavy enough to bruise. "Why did he not tell me?" Lorraine's eyes softened. "Because telling you would make you part of the danger. He had small children. You had small children. The men protecting that old lie still had power then. And now? Now some are dead. Some are old. Some are still powerful enough to make people careful. Did Isaiah know? Not everything. He knew Nathan as a family friend who helped his grandmother. He did not know why the pictures were turned down. Why were they? Lorraine looked toward the staircase. Isaiah came home this week. He is 29 now. He found an old article online and began asking questions. I turned the photographs down because I could not bear him finding truth in frames before I knew how to speak it. That explained the house. It did not explain the damage inside my marriage. I left with the envelope unopened in my purse. At home, I placed it on the kitchen table and waited. Nathan came through the door at 7:15. He saw the envelope before he saw my face. Everything in him went still. "Naomi." I went back. He put his keys on the counter very carefully. "You met Lorraine." "Yes." "Did she tell you?" "Enough." He sat across from me without taking off his coat. For the first time in our marriage, my strong, steady husband looked afraid of my silence. "I thought I could keep it away from you," he said. "The house? The danger. Do not make those the same thing." He flinched. "You are right." I pushed the envelope toward him. "Tell me everything before I open this." Nathan covered his face with both hands. When he started crying, it was not quiet. It came from somewhere deep and old, a grief that had been stored too long in the dark. "I was 32, he said when he could speak, driving home in the rain. I saw the crash just after it happened. I still hear that boy crying." He told me about the highway, the smell of gasoline. The young driver stumbling near his car, drunk and bleeding but alive. The county judge's son. The officers who arrived and suddenly stopped asking the questions Nathan expected. The way one deputy told him, low and hard, that he had not seen what he thought he had seen. "I gave a statement anyway," Nathan said. "The next day, my statement was gone." "Gone?" "Changed, shortened, made useless." He met my eyes. Lorraine's daughter was blamed in the report. Her husband, too. The judge's son was treated like another victim. "And Isaiah?" Terrified, 4 years old, covered in glass, asking for his mother. Nathan's voice broke. Lorraine's husband begged me later to help keep him safe. He was convinced the family would try to control the story forever. "So you helped create the trust?" "With attorneys, quietly. I paid what I could at first. Later, when my consulting work grew, I paid more. Taxes, repairs, security, school needs, therapy." "And you lied to me?" He did not look away. "Yes." The words sat between us, clean, ugly, necessary. "Every business trip?" I asked. "No, some. Not as many as your mind is probably telling you right now, but enough. Enough to make me wonder what else was real." He closed his eyes. "I know." "Do you?" "I thought if I told you I would put you and the children in danger. Then years passed. The danger changed, but the lie had roots. I did not know how to pull it up without tearing everything around it." "So you decided for me?" "Yes." "You protected me by taking away my choice." His face crumpled again. "Yes?" That answer mattered more than another excuse would have. I opened the envelope. Inside were copies of old crash photographs, the first police report, a second altered report, a handwritten statement from a tow truck driver who had been pressured into silence, letters from Lorraine's husband, and a list of names connected to the cover-up. There was also a letter to me, Mrs. Turner. If you are reading this, then my friend Nathan has finally failed at hiding what no man should have had to carry alone. Do not hate him too quickly, but do not let him call silence a gift either. He made a promise to a dying man. He also made vows to you. Both deserve truth. I read that paragraph twice. Nathan did not ask to see it. That was wise of him. We stayed at the kitchen table until dawn. We did not solve our marriage in one night. We named the damage. That was different. I told him I understood why he had been afraid in 2001. I also told him 2001 had ended 25 years ago, and fear had become a habit long after the first danger changed shape. He listened. Really listened. No storage unit lie. No careful smile. No turning the conversation toward flowers or children or anniversary memories. Just my husband, tired and ashamed, finally sitting inside the truth with me. By morning, we had made 2 decisions. First, no more private action. If the truth came out, it came out with attorneys, records, and protection for Lorraine and Isaiah. Second, our children would hear a clean version from us before they heard a crooked version from anyone else. Aaliyah cried when we told her. Jordan got angry first. You let Mom stand next to you for 25 years and not know people might come after us? Nathan accepted the anger. Yes. That is not protection. That is control. I know. Jordan looked startled, as if he had expected a fight. Nathan only lowered his head. I know that now. The weeks that followed were not cinematic. They were paperwork, phone calls, locked file boxes, and attorneys who spoke in careful sentences. We hired an investigative attorney named Serena Holt, a woman with a calm voice and no patience for drama. She reviewed the envelope and began pulling public records, old accident files, insurance claims, archived newspaper articles, and retired law enforcement contacts. The cover-up did not fall apart in one dramatic moment. It frayed. One changed timestamp, one missing toxicology page, one officer who had retired to Florida and no longer cared to protect a dead judge's reputation, one tow truck driver, now elderly, who still had his original notes in a garage cabinet because guilt had made him keep everything. Serena told us from the beginning that criminal charges after so many years would be difficult. The drunk driver had died 5 years earlier. His father, the judge, had died before him. Some witnesses were gone. Some records were damaged. But truth did not have to wear handcuffs to matter. The public report mattered. The corrected death records mattered. The civil settlement from the remaining family estate mattered. Most of all, Isaiah hearing that his parents had not caused the crash mattered. We met him at the Willow Creek house on a gray afternoon in April. Isaiah Bell was 29. Tall, quiet, with the same soft eyes as his mother in the photographs. He shook Nathan's hand first, then surprised him by pulling him into a hug. "Grandma told me what you did," he said. Nathan looked like the words hurt and healed at the same time. "I should have told the truth sooner." "Maybe," Isaiah said, "but I am alive because a lot of people stayed careful." Then Isaiah turned to me. "I am sorry your marriage had to carry part of my story." That undoing in my chest was quiet but complete. "I am sorry your story was hidden from you," Lorraine cried in the doorway. For the first time, the photographs in the study were all turned upright. We did not keep Willow Creek Lane as a secret house. Secrets had already taken enough. The trust remained, but its purpose changed. After the public report, after the corrected findings, after the remaining settlement funds were transferred, Isaiah asked that the house become something useful, not a museum. Not a shrine, a family resource center for children who lost parents suddenly, especially in accidents and violence, counseling rooms, legal aid referrals, a small library, a kitchen where volunteers could feed people who had forgotten how to eat after grief. When Lorraine asked if I would help design the library room, I said yes before fear could answer for me. Nathan came too. He painted shelves, fixed a loose porch rail, repaired the piano bench in the living room, but he did not lead the project. He understood that showing up was not the same as owning the healing. Our 25th anniversary party became a story people remembered for the wrong reason at first. Friends kept asking when we would have a second celebration, as if the first one had been ruined by the truth. 6 weeks later, Nathan and I went to dinner alone at a small restaurant near the river. No gala, no string quartet, no speeches. He wore the new tuxedo jacket with plain black trousers because I told him the full tuxedo was too much for a Tuesday. I wore the emerald dress again, the one he loved. We talked honestly through dinner. Not perfectly. Honestly. He told me when he first almost confessed. I told him how small I felt standing in that hidden study with the photograph in my hand. He told me about nightmares from the crash. I told him I could forgive a frightened young man faster than I could forgive a husband who kept deciding I was too fragile for truth. He took that in. "No more locked rooms," he said. "No more storage unit lies." He gave a sad smile. "No more storage unit lies." After dinner, we walked down to the river. The water was dark, carrying little pieces of moonlight between the ripples. Nathan reached into his pocket and placed the brass key in my palm. "It is yours to decide," he said. The key looked smaller now, not harmless, just smaller. For weeks, I had thought of it as proof that my marriage had been false. Then I thought of it as proof that Nathan was honorable. Both were too simple. The key was proof of a promise. It was also proof of a lie. I closed my fingers around it. "I do not want to throw it away." Nathan nodded. "All right." "I do not want it hidden either." "No." At home, I placed it in a small glass box on the bookshelf in our den, beside a photo from our anniversary party and a new photograph from Willow Creek's opening day. In that one, Nathan stood beside Lorraine, Isaiah, Serena, and me on the front porch. The door behind us was wide open. Some days I still look at that key and feel anger. Some days I feel gratitude. Most days I feel both. That is marriage after a hard truth. Not clean, not simple, but awake. Nathan and I are still together. I say that carefully because staying is not the same as pretending. We went to counseling. We had long evenings where the same argument returned in different clothes. We learned that trust does not come back because someone says sorry, and forgiveness is not a magic door. It is a practice. So is honesty. The old suit never made it to the trash. I had it cleaned and folded. Not because Nathan deserved a shrine to secrecy, but because that fabric held more than one story. It held dances, funerals, lies, promises, and the small hidden pocket that finally gave me the truth. On our next anniversary, Nathan handed me a card before breakfast. Inside, he wrote one line: "Thank you for opening the door I was too afraid to touch." I kept the card, not in a hidden pocket. In the drawer where we keep all the ordinary things we both know how to find. If you have ever discovered that someone you loved hid the truth because they thought they were protecting you, tell me what helped you separate the love from the damage. Someone else may be holding a small key tonight, wondering whether opening the door will destroy everything, when it might be the only way anything real can survive.